Today, I'm going to talk to you about the KT Recovery Plus. .33 miles, 7 minutes, 26 seconds per mile today on my Monday recovery run. Not exactly a recovery pace, but we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. But today what I want to talk about is the KT Recovery Plus, a deep tissue massager that lets you apply both deep tissue pressure and heat or cold. But before I get into my thoughts on this, I do want to go over some disclosures. The KT Recovery Plus is a product that I received for free from KT as part of the swag that I received when I was out at the Ragnar Trail Relay a couple of weeks ago. But they're not paying me to make this video. No one's paying me to make the video or to use this product. No one knows I'm even making this video, and no one's gonna get a chance to preview any of this footage before you guys get a chance to see it live on YouTube. Now, with that out of the way, I wanna go over the KT Recovery Plus. How it works is that it's a silver ball inside a collar and kind of a cup mechanism that it can slide around in. And what you do is you open up this ball, it screws open inside, and inside you can put one of two inserts that they provide. One, you can microwave this orange ball to make it hot, or you could freeze this blue one to make it cold. And this one is cold. I don't know why I felt the need to actually put it in the freezer for this review, but I did. It does get very, very cold. The one that I typically use is the hot one. So you put it inside, you'll microwave this 15 seconds at a time, no more than 2 or 3 rounds of microwaving to get it really hot. Put it in there and then screw it back in. What I've noticed is that the ball itself might not be really hot, and when you put it inside this kind of stainless steel, I'm guessing it's stainless steel, but anyway, metal chamber, it doesn't feel like it's that hot, but after a while, like the heat kind of accumulates, and then it does get quite warm. Then you snap the collar back on, and then you can push it really hard into your muscles, and the ball rolls around, so you're applying both heat and deep tissue pressure. The bottom part here is rubberized, so it's nice and grippy, and it's a little bit flat on the bottom, so you can set it down and it won't roll around. So that's how it works. Why I would need something like this, and I don't think that I would really need this for if I was training for a marathon the way that I did the last time, which was just a bunch of moderate to easy pace, tons of miles, not a lot of rest days, and just loading the system kind of that way. When I was doing that training block, I didn't really feel like I needed deep tissue massage at all. I just felt like I needed every once in a while some foam rolling. This marathon training block is a lot different. I'm doing a lot more explosive stuff. I'm doing a lot fewer miles, more intensity, more speed, more variations on that speed and intervals and tempo workouts. I'm also doing a little bit of strength training as well. So I'm breaking down different muscles than I've normally been working, and I'm working them in a different way where I'm really working them to load or to overload, and trying to get back and do it again really quickly the next couple of days later. And so there's 2 ways that people manage ice and heat. I'm not an expert in this field. I'm not a sports medicine professional or a coach or a medical professional of any sort. I'm just a guy that runs a lot. But my understanding of how kind of heat and ice work is that after you break down your muscles, one is that the waste products of all the energy that you've burned kind of sometimes stay in your muscles, and you want to get that flushed out as part of your recovery. And so that's where things like compression socks, foam rolling, and the recovery boots, those kind of come into play where they work and pushing your muscles and your vascular system so that all those waste products can get flushed out. The other thing that happens is whenever there's a cellular damage, your cells send signals to the rest of your body saying, hey, something's wrong here, send help. And a lot of what comes as part of that is an inflammatory response. And so your muscles get inflamed, that area gets inflamed more and starts to swell. It can be uncomfortable, it can be painful. And so a lot of times people will take everything from Advil, other anti-inflammatories. I think people are taking CBD oils for that now. I don't have experience in that realm. Or you can apply a hot or cold. And what the cold does is it helps reduce the inflammatory response. I don't really use a lot of cold. I don't use a lot of ice, hardly ever. I used to do that a lot in high school and in college. After every workout, I felt like my shins were always hurting, my ligaments were hurting. I had some Achilles problems in high school. So I was downing tons of Advil at a time. And also they would freeze Dixie cups full of ice. You'd tear off a whole bunch of it and then just rub it until the big block of ice was gone. And I would spend a lot of time doing that. I don't really use ice now. I don't think the science, in my opinion, and I could be really wrong on this, I know this is not the prevailing theory, I don't really think that the science supports kind of using ice as a way of being able to recover quickly for a workout in terms of when you're trying to build. My understanding is ice works really great if, let's say, you're at a track meet and you've got 4 or 5 events you want to run throughout the course of the day, or even just 2 or 3 heats of an event that you need to run, and you want to make sure that you're recovered quickly in between those heats. Ice, great, I think. That's my understanding. Heat, on the other hand, I think with massage is going to help with some of that flushing that we've talked about. It's not going to, I don't know that it does as much for the inflammatory response in terms of reducing that, but you want inflammatory response to an extent, as long as it's not like when you hurt your ankle and it swells up to the size of a softball. You want to reduce some of that because that's too much inflammation, too much swelling. It's going to be really painful. It's going to inhibit some of the healing that you want. If you have swelling like that after a workout, that is not something that something like this is going to take care of. You need to go see somebody for that. But if we're talking about after a hard workout day, interval day, cross training at the gym, and you need some deep tissue massage, I think applying heat works out really well for it, for the same reason why like warming up before you do a hard workout is good. It loosens up the muscles, it gets everything flowing well. So you're getting everything flowing so that you can flush the system of all the stuff that shouldn't be there, and you're getting that deep tissue massage in there also as a way of pushing, using physical pressure to then help your vascular system push all the junk that you don't want in there out of there. So that's my understanding of heat versus ice. I could be very wrong. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to be corrected, and I'm always happy to learn more. So if you guys have differing opinions on it, let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys more about it there. So here's how I've been using this thing. So after tougher workouts, Tuesdays and Thursdays are my tempo and speed days respectively. Saturday long runs are going to get harder and faster. And so after those days, I'm probably going to try and take naps whenever I can. I think that's the best way to recover. When I can't, I'm going to supplement sleeping and drinking tons of fluids. With foam rolling is my number one thing that I normally like to do. Sometimes, and I find myself doing it much more frequently now as I'm having more of these intense workouts, using calf sleeves or wearing compression stockings that go from like the feet all the way up to the knee, using compression stockings, just wearing them around to aid some of the vascular response to those workouts. But also wherever I can, microwaving the hot ball, putting it in here, and then really getting in there for like the meat of the muscles. One thing that I always try to stay away from is my concern, and maybe because I tend to get a little obsessive about things, is that I'll do more damage than good. So that's where I typically stay away from these kinds of devices and avoid them, because I'd rather think something like that's more broader, like a big foam roller, isn't gonna let me get into somewhere where I shouldn't be getting and doing damage. And so what I typically stay away from though in using something like this is big meaty muscles. Great, get in there, really dig in and roll around. When it comes to like bony surfaces or ligaments, I tend to stay away from those. For me, in my experience, anything that's bony or a tendon or a ligament, the more I touch it, the worse it always seems to get. And so I just leave those alone. I let range of motion. I'd like to do stretching for those kinds of things. That's my general rule of thumb. That's where I kind of like draw the line. But where I'm talking about like the middle of my quad, the back of the hamstring, right along, all over my butt, like all those areas in the glutes, feels great. I love the heat, having the heat sensation as you're like digging in there and rolling around. Feels really great. So I really enjoy using this tool in that situation. The one thing that I will say is, because this thing, rolls around, I tend to have very long leg hairs, and mine get caught and pulled up in here relatively frequently. And so what I found is, after a session, I'll unscrew the ball to get the orange insert out, and there's just like leg hairs collected in the bottom. It's kind of gross. It's a little bit painful, but overall worth it, because I do like using this, and this is something that I've been using pretty much a couple times a week after all the harder workouts. So I like it because it helps increase the blood flow. I like it because it helps get really in there, and I feel like loosen up a lot of the tenseness that I might be feeling after a workout. And I don't think it's the only thing that's been keeping me ready for the next workout that I'll have. Basically every other day is a tough workout for me, 3 hard workouts a week. So it's not the only thing, but it has been an important part of how I've been kind of keeping going, at least so far. I also do think that I'm getting stronger. I'm adapting. It's been 2 weeks now getting into this marathon training plan that the coaches put together for me. So I think I'm adapting to it, but mostly I'm using this like on the back of my calf, although I usually try to be a little bit careful there. It is a big, huge muscle, but you do have to worry about the fibula. That's a very fragile bone that's back there, so I try not to get too far in there. But certainly on the hamstrings, on the quads, on the glutes, that's where I really get some really pushing in terms of massaging with this guy in there. So that's how I've been using the KT Recovery Plus. I think the purchase price for this is about $40. It seems a bit expensive for what you're getting, but I've been really enjoying the one that I've had. So if this is something that you're interested in, I think this one is probably worth your consideration. You could probably go to a running store and kind of check these out, get a feel for it first before you pick them up. I know they're for sale elsewhere, but I'm not sure that you could actually like kind of have them outside of the package and try it unless you're at a running specialty store. So that's probably what I'd go and do first if you're interested in something like this, because it isn't exactly cheap. So if you have any other questions about that, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys more about it down there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?